Welcome to Selling in the Motor Trade, in association with Automotive Management and Simco Training. This is the weekly podcast where we share best practice, tips, and ideas on how to sell more cars, improve your service department, and generally put more profit into your dealership or dealer group. I'm your host, Simon Bowkett, or some of you might already know me as Skippy. And firstly, I want to say thank you for taking the time to tune in. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Selling in the Motor Trade. Today, I'm joined with Umesh Samani, and I've got to be honest with you. I've been a little bit ignorant, I suppose, about the independent dealers. At Simco Training, we spend all our life dealing with manufacturers, or OEMs, I'm meant to call them nowadays, or dealer groups. But there's a whole part of the business, which is the independent dealers. And this interview, it comes about because I had a lovely, heartwarming inquiry from a man called Craig, Top Cars up in Inverness. And he said, I've been following your podcast, got lots of good ideas. He was calling me Skippy. So here's a shout out to Craig. And he's an independent dealer. I thought, wow, I've got to look more at this. So on LinkedIn, I followed Umesh for a long time. We've been connected for, I think it's 10 years or something like that, Umesh. I thought, right, I need to do something right here and talk about the independent dealers. So I just need to say hello to Umesh Samani. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, very well. Thank you, Simon, for inviting me on. Delighted to be on here.
Well, listen, with this podcast, we always start with a few quick fire questions to start with, just to get to know our guests. So can I ask you, sir, are you more of a good book or a film?
It's got to be a good book. Absolutely, every time.
Okay. Would you be more of an Italian meal or a curry?
I go for a curry every day.
Are you more a beach holiday or a city break person?
City breaks.
City breaks. Any city in particular?
Not really, to be honest with you. I think it's just general. I'm fascinated by a lot of cities, I mean, especially so many in this country as well. I think people just think of cities abroad, but even this country, yeah.
Listen, I've lived over here since 95. I first come over, and there's so much I didn't see until lockdown. We couldn't get out of the country. Are you more, and this is for the younger salespeople, are you more of an iPhone user or Samsung?
iPhone.
Nice cold beer or a glass of wine?
I prefer champagne, actually, but you know what? A nice lager, absolutely.
Nice lager all day long. Well, listen, thank you very, very much. Now, for the people who have been hiding under a rock and don't follow you on social media or LinkedIn, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? How did you get started in the motor trade?
Wow, that's going back a long time now, Simon. I mean, I've got a few grey hairs here to show how long I've been in the industry. This is the general article, no highlights in there. Basically, I started originally as a motor vehicle technician back in them days. So been there repairing cars.
Yeah.
City and Guilds qualified. For those people might just remember City and Guilds, the brand, the name. So I did 6-7 years, City and Guilds qualified motor vehicle technician. Loved every minute of it. I genuinely did. I used to work on Vauxhalls at a Vauxhall franchise, Vauxhall Bedford franchise.
Yeah.
And literally, I got offered a job in selling. I wasn't particularly looking at selling because I loved repairing cars. I spent my life, day and night, actually, tinkering with cars, you could say.
Yeah.
Got offered a job at the VW Audi dealership down the road in sales. And I thought, well, I don't really sell cars, but you know what? I'm not sure. So the owner invited me down to have a conversation with him. And he said, you're interested in the job? I said, well, it's been mentioned to me. I'm not sure, really, So we sort of chatted away. And then he said, why don't you come down on Saturday and see what you think? So I went down on the Saturday and, what do? You just wander about because I don't know anything about selling. I just sort of turned up and chatted and spoke to one or two people. Didn't realize at this stage he'd actually told other people that they'd offered me the job, which is quite bizarre, really. So anyway, the top and bottom, he offered me a job by saying, come and work for me. And if it doesn't work out, the worst case scenario, I'll employ you in my workshop.
Great. Okay.
So I thought, okay, nothing to lose.
Yeah.
So that was 1983. Okay. So in 83, I went into selling cars, never sold a car in my life as such, the odd banger that I used to have, that's about it. started selling cars. There was only the owner of the business and me selling cars at that stage.
Wow, in a Volkswagen and Audi dealership. That's what it was in 83, I suppose.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, it was all, dual franchise, tiny little showroom. I think we'd got about, to visualize now, about 4 cars in the showroom.
Yeah.
So that's how it all started. And I spent nearly 15 years there, and the brand started splitting. But over the years, from just me and him selling cars, I think we'd got, when I left there, probably we'd got Audi, Volkswagen, Seat franchise. We'd probably got 8 salesmen, and technically my title was still group sales manager, but I almost was running a lot of it hands-on there, really. And I decided after 15 years nearly to go solo, really.
Okay. Well, I'm going to talk about that in a second, because it's that decision to go solo. Lots of people listen to this podcast are senior managers, and I want to get into that conversation, the thought process in a second, about giving up that safe job and having a go yourself. But let's go back a little bit first. Do you remember your first day on the job selling cars? Not the day where you turned up on Saturday and almost see how it is. Okay. The first day job when you knew you were employed. Do you remember that?
I do remember it. It was just a strange feeling, really, when because it's totally new environment, and I haven't got a clue about selling cars, talking to customers, because I think my background's, repairing cars, where you're actually hidden in the workshop, and particularly more in them days where, the foreman, workshop controller would be talking to the customers. So, we hardly ever spoke to customers. And I might come over quite confident now, all these years on. At that age, I was pretty much shy in the background, difficult, to communicate with customers, really. But I think it was a case of just being myself and trying to be on hand to help with a bit of advice. And if I didn't have the answer, I'd say I'll just go to the brochure and have a look at it. And that's the only way to start, really. You can't try to be the magic salesman literally by turning up, really.
Yeah. Do you remember the first car you sold?
Volkswagen Santana GX5, for those who remember Santanas, which the VW Passat took over from. And it's quite strange, actually, because it was a doctor locally came in with his wife, and typically they knew more about the car than probably I did anyway. So I sort of showed him around and diving between brochures and showing him around the car. And eventually we go for a test drive. And this is the interesting part is, so we're going along for the test drive, and I'm sort of sitting in the back, and they're both at the front, and I'm saying turn left, turn right, whatever. And I hardly spoke all the way there. We did a turn around, came back again after about 2.5 miles on the forecourt. And he asked me a few questions, the doctor did, and his wife sort of looked at me and said, you're not a very good salesman, are you? I thought, that's a great start, isn't it, Simon? What a start. Thinking, oops, so I'm thinking, quick, answer this. So I said, why'd you say that? He said, well, you didn't tell us anything about the car when we were driving along. I said, no. I said, what I try to do is, I keep my mouth shut, because I'll let you concentrate on the car. I said, by me keeping quiet, you get a feel for the car, you know what it's like, how quiet it is, etc., etc. And they bought the car.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. What that could have done to your confidence. You're not very good right at the beginning.
But I just thought, how do I answer that? And I thought, that's the only way. He's like, quick, what do I do?
You've done well.
So that worked.
Sounds like you always had the ability to think on your feet then.
I think you have to do, don't you? I think, something just kicks in, doesn't it, automatically. You automatically just zoom into it, and then you come out with it. But that one, they sold a car, they bought the car off, just say, that was my sort of first sale, really.
Yeah, I think it always separates the true motor traders, and we always remember that first car we sold for the rest of our life, don't we? And when we train brand new salespeople, we tell them, you'll remember that car for the rest of your selling career. And you do, don't you? It gets into your blood.
Absolutely. Especially when somebody's telling you that you're not a very good salesman.
Yes, that's definitely good. Now, listen, for the people that listen to the podcast all the time, this is a shameless plug for our first 90-day sales training program. So I just want to ask you a question. We often say in the first 90 days, we learn things, good and bad, that last us for the rest of our selling career. Can I ask you, are there any skills that you learn in that first 3 months that you think is just as valuable today in this digital world as it was when you started in 83?
Wow, skill. I think, I don't know if it's a skill or whatever, but I just think being open and honest with people, I think, it goes a long way. Especially if you don't know the answer to anything, you just say, look, I'll get the answer for you. And over the years, I've employed salesmen. When I was working at VW, that's the first thing I always told them is, if you don't know the answer, do not blag it, because the customer will know more than you.
Yes.
And they might try and catch you out. So I don't know if that's a skill or if it's just something which I've always thought, yeah, just be open and honest up front with customers, really.
Yeah, it's so true that people think they just want to, it's the gift of the gab and make it up. Listen, there's so much information people have nowadays, don't they?
That's right.
Why bother? Just say, hey, I don't know, let's find out together. And it's just so important to any brand new salesperson listening to this. Don't be tempted. And we often say that anyone can sell one car, but you don't want to do that. You want to sell these people their second car, third car, their family and friends cars. And you know what? You're not going to do that by blagging it.
Absolutely. You're dead right. And I mean, in fact, around the showroom, there's a poster that I've got which says this is the start of a relationship. The first sale is the start of a relationship. So I look at it as long-term wise, and I've got customers coming back for generations. Genuinely, I remember my VW days. I had a customer came in, bought a Golf off me. A few years later, brought his son Phil and said, "This is Umesh. This is where we buy the cars from." And whilst I've been here in my showroom here, Phil brought his son Simon, said, "This is Umesh. Yeah, this is where I buy the cars from." So I've got people coming back to me.
Love it.
Over generations. And that's what it's about. It's not about selling that one car. It is the long-term thing.
Well, Umesh, I've always said that there's 3 sales in any sale. Okay, you've got to sell yourself first, the product second, and then the deal. Okay, if we're going to go and buy a suit or anything, we go and buy that suit and you don't get along with the salesperson, we'll go and find another suit shop. If they haven't got the right suit for you, you'll go somewhere else and then we'll worry about the figures. But the modern motor trade, too often we're selling the deal first, the deal second, and the deal third. And the reason why I say that is, doing the research for this, I had a look at your website. I read all about the Samani story. And I've got to tell you, I was blown away about how much personal information you put in there. Okay. And I really felt like I had a connection with your business, with you, before we even spoke. So I just wanted to ask you, what is the thought process of sharing so much personal information on your business website?
Great question, Simon. Yes, it really is about the family. Yes, it's all, the whole family, the history is all laid out on the website. So everybody knows everything pretty much about me, not just me, but my rest of my family as well. So the journey starts, for those who don't know a lot about me or not read the story on there, 1972, we got kicked out of Uganda. Good old Idi Amin back in 72, kicked all the Indians out and said, pretty much, we don't want you here, on your way, sort of thing. UK took a lot of refugees. We're amongst the refugee group.
I believe, sorry to cut you off, I believe it was 3 months you had to get out. Was that right?
Perfectly well remembered. 90 days we had. Yeah. Okay. And bizarrely, Simon, the television, every night we countdown. Counted the days down.
Wow.
Yeah, and we got out literally by the skin of our teeth. So literally the day before is when we got out, and we walked out with whatever we're wearing. Pretty much that was it, And I can visualize it now, where literally if you walk in through the airport and if you'd got a nice watch or whatever, if it's not my age, they would just take the watch off. The guards would do. So you just went on the plane with whatever you'd got.
Umesh, how old were you?
Just under 10.
Okay.
10-ish, yeah. I remember a lot about it, at the time. And, so basically we came over here, British Caledonian in them days, flew us into Stansted Airport. From there, we got a coach trip to a place called Eccleshall, which is in Staffordshire, just down the road from me. So there's an ex-army camp. So that's where we were based. And then we got offered a house in Leek, Staffordshire. Again, it's a middle of nowhere, really. Not many. In fact, we were the first and only Indian family at the time in Leek. So, bit of a culture shock for locals to see people with dark skins in reality all those years ago. Well, do you know what? The people of Leek took us in with open arms, and it's been just fantastic, really, of how much they took us in. because as we know, it's you know, the unknown, what the day was going to be like, what the people are going to be like. But everybody's welcomed us. You know, I think the first Christmas we were there, literally, I think we got 300 odd plus Christmas cards and presents, and it's just heartwarming to have, you know, people take us in. So the article was done by the local newspaper at the time. So we'd been here 40 years, and it was just to say we'd been here 40 years. The local journalist thought he'd do what I thought would be a half a page article in the local newspaper. Turned out to be a 4-page spread. You know, John did a wonderful job of that. John sat here with my brother, took the pictures, and he sat here just making notes. And I said, oh, when the article's done, can you just ping me a copy of it? Not expecting a full, you know, 4-page spread.
Yeah.
And he captured it absolutely incredibly well, you know. And I just thought, you know what, I've got to share that with everybody else. And there's also a big printout on the showroom as well. So when people walk in, one of the walls, there's a big spread on there. So people get to know me, my family, my history, my heritage, you know, what journey we've been through. And I just thought it'd be nice to share that with customers, people, or anybody who wants to know anything about me, so they know who I am.
Do you find lots of customers do take the time to read that? They do know about that before you meet them physically, or in fact over the phone?
So many will read online before they meet me. So many will read on the showroom, or start to read in the showroom, and they go back home and read on the website. But it does amaze me the number of people actually visit that page. I think a couple of years ago I looked at the analytics, and that was one of the most visited pages on my website at the time.
Wow.
Yeah, which is amazing, you know, because it just shows people are interested.
Yeah. Well, actually, you think about high-end watches, okay? So many people buy the story about that IWC watch or that Breitling watch. Luxury goods, it's all about that story people buy into. So people are going to buy into your story about a business, aren't they? Yes. Because people aren't just buying that car. They're just buying everything to do with it. And I just loved it.
Funny you said that about buying into people, because, again, few people said, but there's a customer about 12, 13 years ago sat next to me, and we discussed the car literally very briefly, but he just looked at me now and he says, I'm actually buying you. Yeah. I'm not buying the car. And you've just said the same thing. People buy people, don't they, really? And that's what it's all about. And I think that there's a lot of businesses that miss out by not giving that story. You know, there's websites I've been on to where it says we're the third or the fourth generation of, you know, car dealer, whatever. But when you actually click onto story about it, there's nothing there to say the granddad started it in a shed somewhere. Yep. What a fantastic opportunity to tell the world how their business started and how it's grown. And you know, it's just sad. I think some people don't do that. Yeah,
that's true. So who has been your biggest influence in the business? Is there someone, a mentor that stood out from when you started as the mechanic or technician, I should say now, sorry. Is there anyone that really stood out?
If I'm being honest, there isn't actually, Simon, to be honest with you. I think, you know, over the years, you know, you watch different, I suppose the name that rings a bell is Richard Branson. You know, you see how he's done. So somewhere there must be some sort of inspiration from that name, that brand, and what he's done. But there's nobody, one particular person, you know, I've sort of thought, yes, I've sort of, you know, looked at them, followed them, mentored them, you know, no clear name, I would say, no.
Okay. Now, again, in your business, since working for yourself, what's been one of your greatest days, or maybe it's one of your greatest weeks or months? Is there anything or any specific incident that really stood out that you thought, wow, I'm so glad I'm rowing my own boat, I'm doing my own business?
That's a tough question, you know, Simon.
Lots of different days.
Oh, I know. Do you know, I genuinely can't answer that to say which has been my greatest day. I think probably the greatest day was actually when I actually found this showroom. Yeah. And, you know, it was totally empty, and I stood outside to bring the first car down. There's a picture of the car outside the showroom, and I stood down thinking, this is the journey sort of starting. I suppose that's one of the days where you think this, you know, I'm going to make something of this, you know. Yeah, cool. I think that's something like that. You know, I'm not saying, you know, I've had a fantastic day where I've sold lots of cars. I'm thinking, great, that's just a day into, you know what I mean? Yeah, I think just to look back and think, I'm standing there, I'm thinking the showroom was totally empty, the fork was totally empty, just a blank canvas for me to do what I want to do with that blank canvas, really.
Love it. Yeah, love it. Hey, listen, you really punch above your weight with regards to social media reach. Any of my people on LinkedIn following me, I'm sure they're following you as well there. I look at the awards that you've won, the awareness you've got out there. Do you find that's a key part to make you stand out from the crowd as an independent dealer?
Absolutely, 100%. Yes. And people, I mean, there's so many awards out there. Mm. The thing with it is...
Have you won them all? I was looking at your awards that you've won, and there's a lot that you have won. You are definitely punching above your weight, sir.
There's a wall behind me.
For the people who are listening to this, there is an award. Okay, there's a poster. Life is a journey. Enjoy it. I love that. But I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can see from this angle there awards.
There's a few more just hiding behind that. But, right. So with awards, I've never been the one to write good awards, award-winning scripts, should we say? Because I believe there's people out there who can write great awards, the right words for awards and win them, hands down, one of those. Yeah. The first award that I won was from Car Dealer magazine, and it was for social media use. And Simon, I didn't have a clue I was even on the radar, because I never believed in social media, believe it or not. I never believed in any of this hype. And my web designer, who I've used for many, many years, he said to me, he says, you need to be on Facebook. I said, no, kids do that all those years ago. He says, no, but you need to be on Facebook. You need to have a Twitter account. I didn't have a clue what Twitter was. So I said, look, I'm not into any of this. He says, I'll set the accounts up, show you how to log in, what it works. It's up to you what you do with it. You know what I mean? I said, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And I just fell into it, and I loved it. Yeah. Honestly, so the first award that I ever won was from Car Dealer magazine. I think it's back in late 2012, 2013. And it was 2 awards on one night as well. So I was absolutely, buzzing, you can imagine, that night, not even thinking I'm on the radar. And one was for social media use, and one was Dealer's Dealer.
Yeah. Okay. See, the Dealer's, that's a nice award, isn't it?
It's incredible for all the dealers to vote for me. Honestly, yeah. Simon, I was totally blown away with to be recognised as a small one-man independent dealer in Stoke-on-Trent, middle of nowhere, to be recognised by other dealers out there. So that really is humbling to get that.
Great. Can you tell me, how do you go from making the decision to being in a safe job? It sounds like, with Volkswagen Audi for 15 years, I think, if I remember that correctly. And how do you give up that safe job and say, right, I'm going to go start working for myself? How do you come to that decision?
It's a massive decision, Simon, and it's not for everybody. It really, I suppose, deep down, somewhere along the way, I wanted my own business. I think, from a younger age, from that, I just wanted to do something for myself. And I think we could all too easily fall into a safe security job. You turn up and get paid, because the job that I was in, the VW Audi place, almost, I didn't, if I didn't sell a car, it didn't make a difference to my wages. I still got paid, So to think the next day, you've got to start earning your own money. But that didn't worry me. It wasn't about that. I just got this vision that I wanted to build my own business, be my own boss, although I was almost doing that to a certain degree, but with somebody else's money at that stage. Yeah. But I just felt I just wanted to do it for myself. And my wife was the pusher to say, look, you can do it, and I'm 100% behind you. Yeah. Sadly, Sue hasn't seen the success of it because I lost her 16 years ago. But she was the one who sort of gave me the confidence and the boost to say,
you can do this.
You can do this.
Yeah.
And that's what sort of motivated, for us to start a business at that stage, yes.
Yeah, I guess I started Simco training in 2000. And like yourself, it's that big, scary day where you think, right, I need to go and do it. But I said to myself, if I can't sell sales training, I don't deserve to be able to teach people how to sell. So I've got to go and do it. And it's a funny thing, it's my wife that told me that phrase, because I was like, do I do it? Do I not? And the support from my wife starting, I don't think I would have without her being there.
Yeah, we just need that little bit of a push or a confidence thing, don't we? That's all it is. Just you can do it, but you just need somebody to just say, there you go.
See, I'm glad you said that, because I'd like to think I come across very confident. Our clients would say I'm very confident, but I think all of us deep down inside, don't we have the, what if I'm not as good as I think I am? What if I can't do it? I think that's a natural human reaction with, anyone that tries anything that they haven't done before, I suppose.
I don't think it is. It's just something new, isn't it? I think that's all it is. So, and I think also we just get into a routine of doing things, and sometimes we don't realize how good we are either, until somebody asks you, and you can go, with your job, you're a trainer, you can just reel everything off straight away. And somebody will be taking, well, thinking, how much knowledge has Simon got about this? But to you, it's just everyday thing, isn't it, really, if you think about it? And I think it's like when we were selling cars, or and I say people buy cars from me, I don't sell cars. So sorry, but people deal with me. Yeah. So what's difficult? I've just got to do it, haven't I, really? But as you say, but it is that big step of honestly just having to walk away. And I remember my first day, Simon, because the 1st of July this year will be 25 years in business.
Congratulations. So, that's a big milestone.
Yeah. So 1st of July 1997, I started on my own. And I remember actually, in them days, I used to wear a shirt and tie. Actually, the tie's come off now. The last 5-6 years ago, I had a vote on that one for my customers to say, with or without a tie, actually. But I've always been social. I
love it. There's that social media aspect again. I love it.
Yeah. So I've always wore a tie. I love ties anyway. I love bright ties. A lot of people remember bright ties. So anyway, I remember actually getting out of bed and thinking, okay, dress up. I'm going to work. Didn't mind I was going from upstairs to downstairs to my desk. Yeah. I actually put a shirt and tie on. Went downstairs, sat on my desk, made a few phone calls, and I thought, I've got to make things happen now because that phone's not going to go ring. No. Nobody's knocking on my back door and say, I want to buy a car. Yep. So it literally was.
I got to start.
You got to start.
I love that mentality. You still put the tie on though, because that's like, you've walked downstairs, but hold on, this is work.
It's work.
Listen, last week we had a conversation on the phone. It was a brief conversation. But you told me about someone, I believe it was down in London, who wanted to start in the industry. And what really struck me is you really do give back so much. Okay. And you said to this particular person, and I can't remember their name, and you might not name them, but you said, hey, listen, come to my business. Okay. I'll show you exactly what I do. Now, I hope you don't get bombarded with lots of similar requests after this, but I just thought, wow, there's lots of managers they'll be listening to this and say, this is a business owner that's going to take the time to give back. So you don't get bombarded with lots of similar requests, okay? For the managers listening to this that want to start by themselves, what advice do you have for that manager?
Right, going back to that, it was a brief conversation, but to be honest with you, I learned late in life about asking other people for help and advice, right? So I think I just think, do you know what, I'll just do it myself, or you think people haven't got time for you. So over the years, I've had quite a number of people, honestly, ring me up, want a bit of advice. But this particular guy rang me from London. So from London is 3 hours, 3.5 hour drive, depends on the exact location. So he rang me up and he said he's been following me on social media. He knows all about me. He said, I'm not stalking you, but I know quite a lot about you. Because, how do you build a successful business? Can I come and see you? I said, wow. I said, where are you? He said, London. I said, well, I was happy to talk to you on the phone. He said, no. He said, I'd like to actually come and meet you face to face. So first thing I said to him, I said, look, if you want to be a multimillionaire overnight, I can't help you because I've not done it. So I can't help you with that. I said, however, if you want to build a long-term business, I'm happy to sit down with you. If you want to come over here, I'll spend some time with you, dodging between what's going on my daily activity. I said, well, if you want to come over here, I will happily spend the time with you. And he made the journey. He rang up. He said, right. I said, can I come on this date here? I said, yeah. He came over and he was here about 10 o'clock in the morning, and he left about 3:30, 4 o'clock, and he spent most of the day with me and making lots and lots of notes. If I can help somebody achieve their goals by giving them some time, I've got lots of knowledge to share, some good, some bad, whatever it may be, you know what I mean? But if I can help anybody, I'm happy to help anybody, Simon, so, if there's a manager or in fact, there's a youngish lad who a few weeks ago approached me, the same sort of thing, can I come and see you? And he came up as well. So I'm happy, to try to fit people in. If I can help somebody in their life and their careers, I'm more than happy.
See, I love that, because so many times we think, well, hold on, I don't want to give away my secret sauce. I don't want to give this away. But, and again, it was refreshing. You said, hold on, we're selling cars, okay? I suppose what I got from that is you probably put yourself in their shoes when you started. And I just love the idea of how much you give back. So you don't get bombarded with too many similar requests. If someone is starting out today, there's lots of things to consider. Their premises, that was the first thing you had to do. Website, funding requirements, how am I going to fund this stock? However, getting stock and the supply of stock currently at the moment has got to be one of the hardest things for an independent dealer. Is it just a case of going to BCA and stick your hand up, or do you have to be more creative in these times?
I think those who want to buy from BCA, other auctions are available, I have to say. They're gambling with their lives, in my opinion. I've never bought a car from the auction, Simon, believe it or not. 25 years, not been to a car auction. I chose a different route. Mm-hmm. So going back to my first day of being on my own, I was trying to make contacts in them days more so than these days, was trying to buy from franchise dealers, mm-hmm. buy their part exchanges, underwrite the part exchanges, get myself known to them what I was doing. Mm-hmm. But there's less and less these days. The spectrum's changed massively about obtaining cars.
Yeah.
So I used to buy a few from quite a lot of dealers out there. And in the old days, again, I used to advertise in Glasses Guide, Cap Valuations, to get my name even broader for the type of stock that I wanted to buy.
Oh, sorry, for the new people, we almost have to say this now. Glasses Guide used to produce a book. Okay.
Absolutely, yes.
I used to keep all of the books on my bookshelf, okay, with all the different years. And I mean, that's a thing of the past,
That's right. But I went one stage further, actually, to get my name out there. But this is, again, just thinking different to everybody else.
Yeah.
So I used to get the fax numbers. For those who don't know what a fax machine is, just Google it. That'll tell you what a fax machine is. So I literally got loads of fax numbers for all the dealers. Wow, I used to fax them on a regular basis to say, hi, I'm Umesh. This is what I buy. This is what I do. If you want to sell me a car, underwrite a car, give me a shout.
Yeah.
So again, it was just getting out there, being proactive, and not sitting back and waiting for the phone to ring. And I built up a lot of contacts, but I could see where, you'd be dealing with one dealer and that dealer gets sold out to a dealer group, and all of a sudden policy change, staff change, whatever it may be.
Auction only policy, blah, blah, blah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I started, in fact, even from my day one, actually, if my first advert does say, I buy cars from customers. It actually says, my first advert is there, living proof. 25 years ago, I was buying cars from consumers.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been doing all my life,
coming up to 25 years. Yeah.
Yes. And, I still believe in press advertising. A lot of people think it's very old fashioned, but maybe it's old fashioned, but it works for me.
Yeah.
I advertise locally in a lot of the magazines and newspapers that I want to buy. I mean, one of the domains that I've got is webuynicecars.co.uk.
Nice. Yeah.
So it is about nice cars, and I shout to say, I want the lowest mileage, I'll pay the most for these. And customers come back to me to sell me their cars. I've got customers who even say to me, what color do you want next? Because you'll be having it in 3 years' time, but that's what I've built up. So most of my adverts, if you sort of found lots of magazines around local newspapers, many won't be about me selling cars. It'll be about me buying cars off consumers. So I've built that. And a lot of dealers don't understand how I buy all my cars.
Listen, one of my first bosses, Mark Everett, said, buy it right and you can have anyone selling them. That's the real key. Yes. And I suppose, listen, that's back on I'm 48 now. I started when I was 17. So what's that, 31 years ago? Okay. And it's still the same, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. So, but I think it's getting more and more difficult. I mean, I've built my reputation on buying cars, and people get to know, I get recommended, I get repeats, and coming back to me doing the same thing. But I think somebody starting out there, the auctions, I'm not saying all cars are bad at the auctions. I'd be a fool to say that. But buyer beware is the biggest thing. Got to have your eyes open. Some cars are in there for a reason.
Yeah.
As we all know, but it's trying to cherry pick all those.
Yeah.
So I think it is getting difficult. I think with the market being so good recently. So I think I would say to anybody is maybe look at the private adverts, try to buy a few privates. You've got to start somewhere.
Yep.
But just don't get too hung up on wanting to buy from the auctions and just keep hitting that button, because you're going to get pain over the odds sometimes, because you just get in that frenzy of auction fever, don't you?
That just leads me to say that all details of this episode and other episodes on the selling in the motor trade can be found on our website, simcotraining.co.uk. Go there to get a copy of our book, Words That Sell Cars. Go there to sign up to a free trial of our Sales Fitness online sales training program. Easiest way to get hold of me is Simon Bowkett through LinkedIn. Thank you.